Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm going to be speaking today on this video about fierceness, 14 characteristics of fierce people. I had already decided that I was going to write my blog this week about fierceness when a client of mine forwarded me a link to a blog by a social worker named Morin, and her blog was called 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. And I thought it was very good, and it's been passed around the world. It's gone viral. It was actually, the link was from Forbes magazine. So I thought the 13 characteristics that Amy Morin came up with in her blog was very good, so I'm going to use those, and I added one just to make 14 in honor of 2014. So let me begin by giving some definitions of fierce that I picked up off the internet that I liked. One is marked by unrestrained zeal or vehemence. I like that. Unrestrained zeal or vehemence. 2 is having intense feelings. Another, there's my dog Polly chasing the cat, sorry. Another definition is a lot of activity. Fierce. Another one, the final one, is very strong in a way that could cause damage. And I think that's what we're trying to do in life, is cause some damage to our goals, our enemies if we have any. And we do have enemies, like cholesterol, gaining weight, debt, reactivity in our relationships. There are a lot of enemies, not so much people. So being fierce is being very strong in a way that can do some damage in a good way. Probably do some damage in a bad way, but I'm referring to fierceness that is restrained and used in wise ways. By fierce people, I don't mean counterdependent, controlling, egotistical, obnoxiously successful-looking supermen and superwomen who worship money and who listen to Tony Robbins and, various other self-improvement gurus, but they lack sensitivity, and they lack humility, and they lack personal insight, and they're not well balanced. They lack depth, and they certainly lack empathy. So I'm not talking about mean people. I'm talking about focused people. What I mean is healthy, well-balanced people who've done a great deal of work on healing their childhood wounds and overcoming dysfunctional family patterns, and they've embraced the pain in their relationship and they're using it to grow healthy as an individual. So here's the list of 14 characteristics of fierce people. Number 1, fierce people don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. So I like that. That's my thing. That's my number 1 paradigm I try to teach people is in life and in relationships there are no victims. So of course you wouldn't sit around and feel sorry for yourself. That's the last thing you would do. You take responsibility. You go and you stand in a mirror if you're feeling ill-used, and you ask that person in the mirror, how'd you let this happen to you? Because the reason it happened to you is that person standing right there in the mirror. That's the problem. And then when you figure out how that person steered you wrong, then you get to work real hard to fix it and to make it better. Second thing is fierce people don't give away their power. And that's what codependents do. They give away their power because they're not enough in touch with their gut, with their feelings, with the fire in the belly. So I try to work with codependents and help them to get more emotion. I call it getting dynamite, where you can blow some holes in a mountain. And the counter-dependent, the spouse who's not paying attention, they're the mountain that needs blown up. So fierce people, they're congruent with themselves. They don't allow themselves to be stepped on. They're protected and empowered by their healthy, non-reactive, vulnerable, consequence-dealing, and respect-inducing anger. Anger is a good thing. It's a powerful thing. So I want to say that again. They're protected and empowered by their healthy, non-reactive, vulnerable, consequence-dealing, and respect-inducing anger. Fierce people don't shy away from change. On the blog, there's a picture, and for many years in my office, there's a picture of a woman from the 1960s, and she's typing on one of those manual typewriters, not even one with electricity, but just pick. And the caption says, "Don't be afraid of change." And that's what many people are, is they don't do new things simply because that's not the way we do it. We do it the old way. I have to tell on myself here a little bit. I have some of these traits of shying away from change. My 21-year-old daughter, Taylor, has wanted me to like sushi. She loves sushi, and she's real invested in me liking sushi. So we went to this naked chopstick sushi place Friday night, and she made me eat sushi, and you know what? I liked it. And I've been telling everybody for years I hate sushi. It's raw fish. I want cooked fish. That's just a little example, but that's what we do. That ain't the way I do it. It doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not going to get that smartphone and carry it around. I don't need it, or I'm not going to blog, or I'm not going to, whatever it is that's new. But fierce people take on new technology because they want to get the job done, and they're flexible, and then they have fun with it. They have fun with new things, and I did like the sushi. Fierce people, number 4, they don't waste energy on things they can't control. Now, don't get me wrong, fierce people hate giving up control. They're going to do everything they can to keep from giving up control. But if they realize, you know what, there's not a darn thing I can do, then they are able to sort of open their hands and let it go. And that's a healthy thing, because they know, I can't control it, so I'm going to roll with it. And I'm gonna find a way to be productive in another way. So they are able to sort of, as the kids say, chillax when the time calls upon them to chillax. But it is hard for them. Number 5, fierce people don't worry about pleasing everyone. That's another codependent trait. Always worrying about keeping everybody else happy. And a fierce person, they're committed to being genuine and being congruent with themselves and with others. And they would like to be kind and sweet and well-liked. Absolutely, everybody does. But they're not going to sell their soul to get those things. They're going to be congruent and true to themselves and let the chips fall. And that's a wonderful way to be. And frankly, you're going to ruffle some feathers if you don't go around pleasing people. I try to teach my associates that if all your clients really like you and you're very popular, you're probably not doing your job real well, frankly, because there's a verse of Scripture. It says, "Do not strongly rebuke a mocker, lest they hate you." And the problem is with our job is to tell people truth. And mockers are defensive people and unteachable people. So we're called upon to be real and to say what we see, and sometimes people hate us. I had a couple this week that I'm pretty sure weren't very impressed with the feedback I was giving them. So, but it's healthy to be connected to who you are and to stick with that no matter what. Number 6, fierce people don't fear taking calculated risks. This is one that sort of separates the Indians of the world and the chiefs. Lots of Indians, not as many chiefs, because when it comes to signing that lease for 7 years at $3,000 a pop, it takes courage. It takes faith. And if things don't work out, you're the guy on the lease. You're the guy stuck holding the bag. And many people, when it comes time to make a commitment to really put skin in the game, they're afraid. It's too scary. But the entrepreneur, the queen bee, the Indian chief, they weigh the odds. They don't make foolish decisions, but they're gutsy. They believe in themselves and they believe in their calling. And if they got to take a risk, they're going to take a risk. Number 7, fierce people don't dwell on the past. Well, I'm not sure very much about this Amy Morin. She's a social worker like myself, but I don't know that she necessarily operates with a recovery model or not. But fierce people don't dwell on the past in victim-y, whiny ways, certainly. But fierce people have done their work on the past. They know who they are. They know where they came from. I come from a generation back of poverty-stricken, mentally health-challenged Pennsylvania hillbillies. That's who I am. I know who I am. I know where I came from. And it takes a lot of courage. Fierce people dig into their past and they heal their childhood wounds. And they don't medicate their pain. They embrace their pain. And they have the strength to feel their feelings. And they break the cycle from generation to generation of family dysfunction. So fierce people deal with the past, and they work through the past. Sometimes there's people that look strong, but they're not strong. They're hiding behind psychological defense mechanisms, and they lack really connection deep in their heart. So mentally strong people, there's some that are just frauds. They're actually the Wizard of Oz. They're hiding behind, a curtain, and they're really small little people who are trying to act like big people. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about healthy, balanced people that have done their work and healed their childhood wounds, and it's much better than the fake, false people who are trying to look strong. Number 8, fierce people don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Addicts do, because they're addicted, and they keep getting DWIs, and they keep getting arrested, and they keep having financial problems, and they keep getting fired, and they keep going through divorces because their addiction is raging out of control. But fierce, humble, feeling people embrace the pain and the consequences of their mistakes, and everybody's going to make mistakes, you know that. And then they use the pain of those consequences to be in recovery, to know the truth about themselves and work effectively on themselves and re-engineer themselves from the very foundation of their personality, from the wounds of their childhood. And then they don't live a lifetime of continued mistake after mistake, addiction after addiction. They get clean and sober, and they win. Fierce people don't like to lose. They like to win. And they like to clean up their messes, but they're humble enough to to know that they've made a mess if they've made a mess. So, number 9, fierce people don't resent other people's successes. You guys know on this channel that Jerry Wise makes a lot of videos, and his videos are actually a little bit more popular than mine, and I love it because he's made the channel very popular, and I get to ride on his coattails, and he's been using like better equipment. You guys know I've had some technical issues with my videos of late, but I've gone out and gotten some of the technical equipment. I don't have it yet. I'm gonna have it for next week. So I'm learning from somebody who's probably better at something than I am, and every time he makes a video, I'm like, yes, Jerry, bring people in and be. I want him to be a superstar. I want him to be famous, because he'll inspire me to do better things, and he'll bless our practice. And plus, I love Jerry, and I want Jerry to be successful. But with fierce people, when somebody's being successful, they're not like, ooh, they shouldn't have been that successful. They're like, what did they do? What actions did they take to develop the kind of success that they have? And then fierce people go in and do those actions, and it makes everybody better. A good backup quarterback in the NFL just makes the starter better, because he knows he better work or he's going to be sitting on the bench. So, number 10, fierce people don't give up after their first failure. Amen to that. Frankly, with fierce people, and I count myself among them, when we fail, it just pisses us off. We are not going to get beat. Sometimes I'll be fooling with technology, trying to fix something, and I'll waste an hour doing it. I'll stay up all night. I'm not gonna. I will get it to work. I'm not gonna lose to. I never have to stay up all night, but I would if I had to, because I'm not going to just give up. If I fail at something, it's just going to make me more determined to be successful at what wasn't going so well. And it just brings all the more joy when then you reach the goal that you had set for yourself. Very, very joyful experience to jump off the mat in a boxing match after you've been knocked down twice and then knock the guy out, because you believed in yourself and you weren't going to quit. Number 11, fierce people don't fear time alone. I love this. Fierce people are interdependent souls whose inner joys, fulfilling hobbies, defined sense of selves, and full hearts make alone time a real treat. I have a friend who briefly attended one of my groups, and at the time he was single, and he was committed to not even dating. He was just working on himself and trying to be happy as an alone person, and he had a little apartment, and he didn't have a lot of money, and one week he made broccoli cheese soup, and it was some kind of recipe he got from Panera Bread, I think. And you should have heard this man share about his broccoli cheese soup. You would have thought he won the lottery. You would have thought he had just been out on a date with a supermodel. He just was so happy. He goes, yeah, I stayed home and I made broccoli cheese soup. It was so good. That's the kind of thing that makes you comfortable being alone and healthy. And it wasn't too long after that the universe arranged for a beautiful woman to just enter into his life, and they're very happily married. I ran into him at the movies last week. But it's because he was comfortable being alone and happy being alone that he was eligible to have a blessed and healthy marriage. Number 12, fierce people don't feel like the world owes them. A sense of over-entitlement is a cancer. And fierce people don't look, they're not constantly saying, what's owed me, what can you give me. They're there to serve. It's more like, what can I give instead of what can you give me? Taking a theme from John F. Kennedy's famous speech. So, fierce people are givers. They're not getters. They're not takers. They go the extra mile. They give you, extra value. And because you get extra value, you want to do business with them. Number 13, fierce people don't expect immediate results. Imagine a farmer in the spring planting his crop and then a week later going out there and fuming and fussing because there wasn't, 6 foot tall corn stalks in his field. That's ridiculous. But many times people will start a business and they'll do marketing for a month and then they give up because it didn't work. Well, if you plant corn and you wait, from spring to fall, you're going to get corn every time. And if you put out good material, good content onto the internet, on YouTube or a blog or Twitter, or you're going to be blessed. And whatever creativity and hard work you put into it, you're going to get it back many times over in new business. But if you give up after a month, you're not going to get much of anything in life. That's just a principle. You shall reap what you sow. You sow good stuff, you can get lots of good stuff. You sow a lack of faith and a lack of hard work, you're going to be poor. You're not going to be blessed. And number 14, fierce people do not take no for an answer. This past week, as many of you across the country, we've had horrible weather. Last Monday, it was about minus 20 degrees wind chill factor, and I was stuck at home, had to cancel a couple of clients, but I had this couple that really needed to see me. They were in crisis. They were willing to drive an hour and a half in that weather condition to see me. They really needed to come in, but nobody had plowed our street, and we had about 3 blocks of 13-inch snow. And my significant other, she said, "You're not going anywhere." I tried to pull out and I got stuck. But I wasn't taking no for an answer. I was going to meet that couple if I could. So I jumped in the car and I slammed on. I put my foot to the floor and gunned it. And I made it out the neighborhood. I was surprised. I thought I was going to get about 5 feet. But I got out and the couple came in. And I was able to help them, I think, very, very significantly. And it was fun. It was fun pulling out of that neighborhood. Just, woo! It was like a joyride. You might say, well, yeah, you could have gotten stuck and it was cold and maybe you would have died. I wasn't going to die. Once I got out of the neighborhood, I was fine. People who aren't fierce people are just dominated by fear. You get 3 inches of snow, they want to stay home for a week. And granted, it was rough weather last week, but I do think like there was some overreaction and some, weak people are looking for excuses to not, get out and kick some butt. And fierce people are looking for opportunities to, overcome obstacles. Obstacles are just an opportunity to grow. So there you have it, fierce people, 14 characteristics. Please do join our channel. We've been getting well over 100 people joining our channel every month. So we're really excited about how the world is embracing our message. And we're going to get the whole staff involved in making videos because they're really good as well. It's not just Jerry and I who have things to offer. And also come to our website, familytreecounseling.com. You can join our list and get 2 free ebooks, and you can get the first chapter of my book on abandonment, managing abandonment issues through recovery. So get some ferocity in your spirit and make 2014 the turning point in your life where you get what you need and you get what you want in your career and in your relationships and in your finances, because you have a healthy sense of entitlement. So thanks for watching today, and God bless.